Kevin, you want to tell us that joke you were telling us earlier?
Stephanie and I saw each other at the carnival. Our children were doing the super slide together.
Ooh.
We both survived the.
Yes, the children had no problem marching up the stairs to what felt like the top of the Eiffel Tower in my, height-fearing mind, and then just barreling down at top speed.
There's a lot of that. We did that super slide about 20 times. And then we did the wacky house, which is my child, but all three kids, their favorite ride, which is the house that you have to walk through. And my 3-year-old's not tall enough to do it by himself, so I have to do it with him. Yeah.
Yes.
Judd didn't get a wristband, but I did each night.
I asked if there was any other way out other than going down the slide, and she said, no, you got to go down the slide.
You can walk back down the stairs. So
this was my first year not getting a wristband, and it was really nice to just hang out and eat fried Twinkies and eat pie. So,
Oh,
all right. We'll call to order this meeting of the Easton Board of Education at 7:32 p.m. Members in attendance: Alicia Young, Jen DeJesus, John Stinson via Zoom, and Randy Hicks, Devin Weibel, and I think Jeff Parker's in the room as well.
yep.
Yes, very good. All right. We'll start with the approval of minutes for the June 14th, 2022 Easton Board of Education regular meeting and the June 28th, 2022 Easton Reading Region 9 Joint Boards of Education special meeting. Are there any amendments or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, we will consider the minutes approved for both of those meetings, and we'll move to public comment. Are there any members of the public there in the library?
There are none.
No.
No.
All right, and we will move on to board member comment. Hearing none.
Great summer.
We'll move on to administrative reports. Stephanie and Sarah?
Yeah.
John?
To provide.
Oh,
sorry. Go ahead, Randy.
Jeff maybe has comment.
I was wondering if we could consider a motion to move discussion and possible action up before administrative reports, so that people that are up at 1:30 in the morning in a foreign country might have a chance to go to
It's
sleep.
okay.
So,
It's all right. I can hang. I'm fine.
Very good.
I'm just going to stay off camera if that's okay with everyone.
Appreciate that, Jeff. We'll give. I suspect our updates will be brief.
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed. So I will just zip right along then. So I'm happy to share a hiring update for both schools. Samuel Staples had a very busy hiring summer. Our certified positions have been filled. We have hired for 2 kindergarten classes, 1 grade 1. There are actually 2 grade 2 positions. One was a 1-year leave replacement, and the other is a regular staff position. 1 full-time art, 1 full-time music, 1.4 PE. We are in the process of hiring some of our non-certified support staff positions, including kindergarten assistants, a math paraeducator, a library media assistant, cafeteria and recess supervisors. Those are all in process, meaning that we have already conducted the interviews and we're just completing the paperwork, or interviews have been scheduled. But we have, we've got a great group lined up, and just so excited about the very positive energy that we're seeing in the buildings. New hires excited to come in, set up classrooms, gather materials. It's just terrific, just terrific. At Helen Keller, we've had fewer hires, but they are working on some non-certified hires, cafeteria para and a math para. In special education, we have a number of non-certified support staff positions that we are still either in the process of confirming or that are still open. And that's the only area where we have a couple of openings that we are not sure we will be able to fill. But it has certainly been a very busy summer of posting positions, interviewing, and hiring. The enrollment update, in particular from Samuel Staples, it looks to confirm what we thought at our last meeting. Our kindergarten enrollment right now is absolutely on track with the Prouder projection. 98 enrolled as of today, and the projection was also 98. So the class sizes are just what we had talked about towards the end of the budget cycle, ranging in the early grades from 15 to 17 and the upper grades from 18 to 20. So really right on track.
Great. Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Pearson-Ugal?
Do you know when class assignment letters are going out? I've heard a lot about that. Like everyone I know is asking.
I want to say at the end of next week, but don't hold me to that. If you give me a minute, I can look in my notes and in the calendar and see if I can confirm that at some point during the meeting.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I had a question about the positions that may go unfilled for the year, if I heard that correctly. Did you have a couple
Yes.
of special education positions that won't be filled for this academic year?
Yeah, there are a couple of support staff positions in special education that are vacancies currently, and we're working hard to fill the positions. But last year we were able to cover the positions, even though it wasn't ideal, either through substitutes, bringing in non-certified substitutes, or in sometimes, depending on the position, we can hire it. We can do it through an agency.
Okay.
And do you know enrollment at the middle school? Is it
290, right?
I did not get an update, so I have to assume that they are still on track with no surprises.
Yeah, there was a report that came out that had it at 290, right? Down 4 from the end of year cohort last year. So
Interesting that there wasn't any movement. I mean, you always get a few people leaving, but you generally get some folks coming in. So it's, that part's unusual, but that's just what moves in.
Stephanie, do you know, are we having any issues with the onboarding process, with background checks or anything like that?
Well, our human resource manager has been out ill, and so things have been a little bit stalled, but she does expect to return in the days ahead. So I wouldn't say that the issues have been unusual, right? So perhaps a little slower than typical, but we don't expect that to hold up any of the hires.
All right. Please pass along our well wishes and speedy recovery there. Any additional questions for Dr. Pearson-Ugal? All right.
I'm sorry, one for me.
Sure.
Stephanie, how successful was Dr. McKinnon in getting the improvements to security completed?
Yes, very successful. And that is part of Mrs. Scrofani's report.
Okay, very fine.
All right, so I am going to talk
You
about.
have, sorry, one other question, if I may, was I know that Dr. McKinnon was trying to recruit some help for the interviews for the maintenance role, the maintenance director. How successful was that?
Also extremely successful, and
Okay.
also part of Sarah's
Thanks,
report.
Sarah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll keep my mouth zipped.
It was incredibly
All good
successful.
news.
I am happy to report. Stephen Seifert started August 1st. I am very thankful to have him on board. He's very excited. And so he is with us implementing and project managing some of our larger facilities projects, one of which is the security enhancements. So I'm happy to report that that is finished at Samuel Staples and underway at Helen Keller and on track to be completed before students start at the beginning of the year. So that is our facilities. That is a great facilities update. We'll continue to be doing walkthroughs together and getting him acclimated. He's very excited about the whole process and being involved. And I think he's going to be a fantastic addition.
And Sarah, would you mind just giving everyone a little bit of background on where he joins us from? And
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I
Sure.
was going to ask if you could share his resume, if that's feasible. I'd just like to see his background as well.
Sure, absolutely. So he actually is part of our district. He comes to us from Reading, so we know him very well, where he was at John Reed Middle School. And he's been very busy there yesterday and today. They had a tree fall on their roof. So he has been helping to manage all of that. So he comes to us from there. And then prior to that, he has many years of experience in industry and private industry managing a facility in Trumbull. So I can get you the specifics of that a little bit more from his resume and share some of those details in a little blurb with you, if that would work.
Sure, that would be great.
And I'm
Yeah.
sure Jeff remembers from the interviews, but the facility that he was overseeing in Trumbull has some of the parts that they manufactured. Was it on Mars?
Yes, I think so. Right?
Yeah, like
Yes.
that have been gone to space. Like pretty cool stuff when you get into those conversations. So
Yeah. So he's already, I think it's already really helping to really streamline and organize some of our larger projects, like our security enhancements.
He'll be good.
So for our financial report, I'll report on this year. So I want to bring your attention to the transfer report. I just want to talk about that for one moment. And I just want to let you know that one of the things that I am going to be doing that you'll notice is moving. You'll notice that these are all for the same dollar amounts. And that's just because I like to try to create a more transparent line item structure. And so if I see that something is in our budget, but not in the right, just not in the category that we wish it to be in, I am going to do those transfers. So if you have any questions about them, I can report it out to you. But essentially, these are things that were intended to be in one line. And we are going to put them in the account code where we intended them to be. I also am trying to create just a structure where if we put it in a particular line in Easton, we also put that in the same line in Reading, and we put that in the same line in Region 9, so that it just kind of makes sense across the board. So I anticipate that you'll see more of these as time goes on, that just have, that is exactly the same amount from one account into another. So those are just, that's, if anybody has any questions about that, please let me know. And then you have our traditional report in your packet as well. And we can get back down to I'll talk about that in discussion and possible action with our at the end of year report. But our beginning of the year is going pretty smoothly. And so if anyone has any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them.
Just going back to the transfer report, is the takeaway that we put the wrong dollar amount in, say, conferences and travel, and it should have been in instructional supplies?
No, because we do a lot of because we do a lot of really specific line items, like we say that we want to have, we say, for example, that we want to have a book, or we want to buy one thing. In our budget, we actually write that in there. And sometimes we just didn't put it in the right category. So it's really not, it really belonged in the other account, but we budgeted it in just a different line. So for example, the instructional supplies and textbooks is a really good example. It's $200. We actually put $200 specifically in the line for instructional supplies, but in actuality, that is the textbook. So I would much rather have it in textbooks, so that that's more representative of what we actually are, of exactly how we're spending the money. So it's not that it isn't in the budget in the line item. So, we could actually find that $200 right in there. It's just that it's not in the same place that I would like it to be for reporting out in the future. Did that make sense?
Is the budget and the actual in the same line item? So you have a budgeted amount that you budgeted for, and where you
Yes, they are.
spend it is
It's exactly the
actual.
same. We're just moving
So
it.
you're
from-
just reclassifying it.
It's completely 100% just a reclass.
Yeah.
There's nothing other than that. It's that I would rather have the textbooks in textbooks than in instructional supplies.
Proper classification is what you're doing.
Yep. If there's something that's not a reclassification, I will let you know if it's something that's quite different than that. And any reclassification that's over a certain amount, the board would need to vote on. We did that previously in one of the other districts. Does anybody have any other questions?
Any other questions for Sarah?
Are you gonna talk about the year-end close, or are we gonna wait until September?
We have that in discussion and possible action.
Oh, okay. Very good.
I have an update about the placement letters, if people are interested in that.
Yes, please.
K through 8 placement letters and student schedules will go out on the 19th.
All right, thank you. All right, if there's no additional administrative reports, that'll take us to discussion and possible action. Very good. We'll start with election of officers, and we'll open it up to the floor for nominations for chair and secretary.
Nominate
Yes, Jen.
Jenny Hicks as chairman.
May I make
Thank
a
you, Jeff.
nomination?
Yes, Jen?
I'd like to go ahead and nominate Randy, who would like to run for chair, and Devin Weibel for secretary.
Okay. Do we have any additional nominations?
I'd like to nominate John Stinson for secretary.
Good. Any additional nominations? All right, hearing none, we will look for a vote. Now, I believe our bylaws call for a paper vote. Do you have paper there in the room?
I do.
Okay. So, and we have actually done this via Zoom before. So all you need to do is to write the name of the person who you would like to be in the chair position and the secretary position, as long as you know how to spell secretary.
You know, that's funny. I was just thinking, am I spelling this correctly? I don't know if it is, but.
All right. And we'll hold them up to the camera here.
I don't know if you
All
can
right.
see it.
We'll tally the votes via YouTube. So I'm happy to go first. My vote is for Randy for chair and Devin for secretary. We're not seeing yours. I think it's blanking out because it's not recognizing as a person. You have your blur background on. I think you'd have to turn
Oh,
it.
let me take that off then.
Thank you. And while we're doing that, Randy, did you want to?
Sure. I wrote it backwards.
Thank you, Randy.
You're welcome, John.
Good. And Devin?
Here with the secretary, Devin.
Good. Thank you. And sorry, Alicia.
Guys are killing me. That's all right.
I know. I'm sorry.
Can you
You
read
look
this?
amazing at that
See.
hour.
I see it.
Oh, please.
All right. So good. So good. And thank
Jeff,
you, Devin. Good. And Jeff? That's Jeff?
Yep.
Very good. Okay. So I think Randy is unanimously elected. Congratulations as chair. And we have a tie between Devin and myself. Do you want to paper, rock, scissors for it? I'm very flattered and appreciate this the support. I like the idea of Devin taking the opportunity and sort of learning the ropes, and sort of more of us having the opportunity to sort of step into those leadership positions. I think it's good for all of us. If our colleagues Randy, Jeff, and Alicia are okay with it, I would bow out and ask Devin to take that. But I want to make sure that we're all on the same page and can be comfortable with that.
John, you and I have had a private conversation about this, and I won't go into all of the details of that conversation because it was between you and me. But I would not be comfortable with Devin being secretary.
Randy, Alicia?
I'd like to move past the personalities. I mean, I respect everybody's opinion on the board, and I think anybody, well, I think we can all do the right thing here going forward. If that's your wish, John, you don't want to do it, nobody else steps up, then Devin should be the secretary.
Yeah, and Randy, if you'd be willing to change your vote, I think we would call that done. And I think without rehashing, Jeff, I appreciate, we want to move forward in a constructive way. And I think we've all just been through 2 years of the ringer. I think at one point I said to Jeff, this is more, right? This is a lot more than it was in the past with COVID.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All the other stuff. And he said, oh yeah, this is a lot more. And so it's been, I feel like, you see those before and after pictures of presidents. I feel like this used to be more black. I don't know. I didn't used to have as many gray hairs. But I think thanks to the unbelievable leadership from our central office staff, Sarah and Stephanie and Jason and Vicky. And I think thanks to a group of true professionals as board members, I think we've come through all that. And I think we've established ourselves as a highly functional board. And I think we've all learned a lot. And I do believe that, I think every one of us here cares about the kids first. And I think we can all do really great things as a group of people together. So I hope that I can persuade somebody to also support them, because I really do think she'll be great in the spot.
As my first act as chair, I'm going to withdraw my nomination for myself. No, Jeff, insane, make me the chairman, but so be it. I like it. I like you insanity. So.
All right. So, so thank you, Randy. I think I hand over the reins here with the unanimous vote for Randy, and then 4 votes to 2 for Devin.
All right, so be it. Moving on to item 6B, fiscal year 2022 financial update. Sarah, take it away.
Okay, fantastic. So you have a memo on the very last page that talks about, at this time, we're working towards finalizing all of the financials. We were able to identify approximately 837,000 in unexpended funds. And right now we do have $271,669.09 in encumbered funds. So the bulk of those encumbered funds are really related to the what the board decided we should purchase with the security enhancements. And then a few areas that are still outstanding, some professional services, some tuition, some energy costs have not been 100% finalized. So those are encumbered, but I do not have the final invoices for some of those. So I also wanted to let you know that in our health benefits account, the board approved the additional contribution. And so your June health benefits account balance, you can see there. And then we added the 500,000 to it as well. And so you end up with $1,021,998.16 in your health benefits account. I do not have the current, I cannot share with you the July claims at this time, but everything else looks to be pretty as anticipated. No real surprises.
Sarah, when we were in the June meeting, we went through a list of items, professional development.
Yep.
Software, other things. Is that, did that number at that time total the 271,666?
So yes and no. We still had some outstanding encumbrances. We still had some things that were already in the budget that were not part of that. So as an example, you did not approve any tuition, but we're still waiting on some final tuition bills. You didn't encumber any energy costs, and I'm still waiting on a final bill. And there's actually one final transportation bill that I'm waiting on as well. So it doesn't exactly line up apples to apples, and that's the reason why.
But let me say it a different way. We had an unencumbered amount, and we went through, and Alec carved off $500,000 to be deposited in the healthcare account. And then we listed a number of different items, again, professional development, security, whatever. Putting aside the other bills that hadn't come in yet, there was, so we wouldn't know where we'd landed from a total unencumbered, like what we were going to throw back to the town number, but we knew two numbers. One was what was going into healthcare, and two, the second number was made up of, say, a dozen items. And those a dozen items sum to some number. I don't see it in the minutes, and I didn't bring my last June notes, where we went back and forth on a number of different items, incremental programs at SSES that had certain
Yes.
dollars.
So those total to 216,177. And then I was estimating that we would have a balance that would go back to the town of 631. But again, that was an estimate for me.
Yep. Okay.
And
the number
so
was, go ahead. Sorry.
No. So the very last motion was to authorize the superintendent to spend $216,177 to improve curriculum. This will have a balance of 631 to be returned to the town. So we're close. I was happy.
Yeah, very.
To be honest, Randy, I was pretty happy with that. So
100%. And I agree. $12,000. What I guess my only last question is the difference between 271,666 in your memo and the 216 that we approved. Are those just other things like you mentioned, energy, outstanding items, things like that? Okay.
just outstanding items, yes.
Okay. So what if those things, you're pretty sure they're going to come in at the 271, or no, there could be another 20,000 that's unencumbered?
Oh, no, it won't come in over the 271 amount. There are no additional encumbered funds. So everything, it could come in, Randy, slightly lower than that, but that's what's been encumbered.
Fine. Okay. And so at some point, if you can, give us a heads up at next meeting or whenever, when we finally settle that 271 number. And if it's a few $1,000s, that's fine. If it's 10,000, 20,000, it would be good to just keep track of. That's all. So, okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Want to make a motion to, do we need approval here at this point, or is approval going to be in September once the final numbers roll through?
I don't believe.
So I
don't believe
just
so.
want to give you a heads up that some of that just has to do with some of our supply chain issues. And so we will do our best to close out all of those. But I do not want, we will, it's our practice to wait until we actually have the installation of goods and services until we process the payment. And so if, for example, something takes longer for us to receive, then obviously that invoice will still be outstanding. But in as much as we can clean all of this up for September 1, I'll have you'll see as close as we can get it for September 1. But I don't want to say that for sure we're going to have all of that perfectly closed out, because I do know that there are some just in general supply chain issues that make it so that we don't have our deliverables.
I would think it's more informational moving forward, because as the year is closed, we made our motion back in June to do what we did with the capital. Right now, it's just a matter of, as you roll the budget forward, if they're true, this is a legal question, or, if there's $20,000 left over, in theory, that goes back to the town, or it stays in the budget and it becomes unexpended funds maybe for the end of
That would.
Oh, so whatever balance at this point will be returned to the town based on what your prior motions were.
Well, we said that we would send back 631,000, correct?
or all
Yes.
unencumbered, all unexpended funds.
Right. I think we.
Estimate of 631, but I think it was.
That's right.
Then it's done. It's done. We're fine.
Well,
I missed the last part of that, Jeff. I'm sorry.
it was in the motion. If we went back and looked at the motion, was it an either or? In other words, a 631, or was it just unexpended funds that go back to town? An estimate being 631.
I can pull up the motion, but I remember during the discussion whether this was recorded as the final motion. I don't know, but I'll tell you in a second. But I know that we had that discussion because I remember Jason saying, "Whoa! It's not going to be 632, but and 73 cents. It's going to be somewhere in that neighborhood." I'm looking at the motion here.
At that time, I couldn't give you an exact balance. It was just in the ballpark.
Right. I think it's understood, and maybe we can formalize this the next go around, but it's understood that if we don't spend it, it goes back to the town. It's either or. We either encumber it or it goes back to the town because we haven't drawn it. So,
Right.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we can move to C, change in authorization signer of the Ed-099 agreement for child nutrition program.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Sarah Scafani to be the signer of the ED-099 agreement for child nutrition program.
I'll second.
Discussion? Okay, we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
And it has to be, because some of us are remote, it has to be roll call. So those who are remote have to say, "I, John Stinson, vote yes."
Thank you. All right, John, very good. Jen?
I,
Jennifer to Jesus. Very good.
Alicia?
Did you get Alicia's vote? I vote yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Jeff is yes.
Yes.
Yes, Randy's yes. Okay, 6-0 is the vote. Congratulations, Sarah. All right, moving along. Board committee reports. Any reports? Nothing from the fabulous bus committee report.
I can't remember if I gave a this report during June. So the DEI committee met on June 6th. I think the big things that we talked about were really, Dr. Pearson Ugal gave an update on just culturally responsive pedagogy and what that means, gave an update on PD, as well as conversation around how the climate committees work. I think the other piece that we're working on for the next meeting, which the next meeting is in September, is like making sure that all of our slots are filled. So there were some members, we're missing a community member in Reading, for example. We don't have some of our student members, and then faculty as well, since the faculty basically on June 6th, they had other things to do. We talked about sending an email out when school starts to recruit faculty members from SSES and other places to make sure that we have all of our slots filled. The curriculum committee also met. We talked about a new novel for middle school, and we also talked around some social studies work that is happening as well. So that was I think one of the first meetings we've had in a while. We had it in person, and it was a really good discussion. We have some new community members who really brought, I think, some good flavor to the conversation and thoughtful, especially around the conversation around the novel, making sure that we have a rigorous book. We switched to a book, and I can't remember the name, Dr. Pearson Ugal.
Oh, Fever.
And so there was some conversation about if it was connected to the pandemic, but it's really more about the young girl's journey during the Spanish flu. Our influence, right? Oh, look at me, my memory is so good. Around the Spanish flu and just how it's a coming of age story. I just thought it would better connect with and resonate with students. Also, it's a more rigorous book, which I think really just more depth for folks to have a better discussion and conversations around in the middle school.
This is an assigned book during the year. This is part of summer reading. This is
an assigned book during the year. Each one of the middle school grades has one core novel. And so this is the core novel that will be used in 6th grade. It replaces Esperanza Rising.
okay.
So this is a book that was selected using criteria that the committee discussed and was well supported by the teachers, the literacy specialist, and a consultant that worked with the team to help them identify clear criteria to use when selecting a core novel.
Was the consultant the center?
No, was not. This is a reading consultant. This is a consultant who supports our teachers in the instruction of reading and writing.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And the team had written, the literacy teachers had written a really nice letter, really in support of this novel. And then a few folks had actually gone out and read the novel on the committee and really actually enjoyed it.
Devin, one of the other things we had talked about in that committee was the change up in the more current coming of age video, I guess is the best way to describe it. That was I think we got a lot of good feedback from that discussion as well.
We're going from literally a VHS set that they had to find a TV that had a working VCR to a video that you can, play via YouTube. So it's a lot easier for viewing purposes. It's, the kids are wearing clothes that kids wear today, just a much more updated video.
Mattress is out.
And just more timely and appropriate. So thank you, Jen. I totally forgot about that.
Thank you, Devin. School climate survey, is that a September event that we preview that, the results? What's
The results would be presented in September or October. Honestly, there's been quite a bit of turnover in the assistant principals, not in Easton, but in every other district. So we will have 2 new assistant principals in Reading. We have 2 new assistant principals at the high school. Those are the people who serve in the role of the safe school climate coordinator. And so those individuals will need to come together and spend some additional time doing the more qualitative analysis of that information and to prepare a report to all of the boards. So September might be a little bit optimistic. We do hope to have some kind of an update for the DEI task force, I think has a meeting in September. Is that correct, Evan? Yes. So the report to the board would either come in September or October.
Just out of my own curiosity, who's the new vice principal at RES?
That person has not been named.
The person.
We are conducting interviews this week and next
Is that
week.
a Harry Potter line?
Okay. Okay. Alicia, I think we mentioned this to you. There are a number of fascinating and vibrant committees out there that are looking for help or additional resources, people. So take a look at the list. And I think it's the chair's responsibility to appoint. So if you want to give me a sense of what you're interested in, just send me an email on my ER9 account and see if we can make that happen.
Yep, Randy, I will do that, absolutely.
Okay.
Randy, can I jump in quickly?
Yes.
There was a piece of misinformation. Fever talks about yellow fever, the yellow fever pandemic. It was not the Spanish flu. So I wouldn't want that incorrect information to be floating out there. Something was not sitting right with, with Spanish flu.
All right, fair enough. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If there are any more board committee reports, if not, we'll move on to board member comment and I'll start with Alicia.
Thank you, Randy. No, I don't have any comments. Congratulations on the chair, and Devin, congratulations on secretary. I look forward to working with all of you as I'm getting up to speed on all of this. So thank you.
Thank you. Jen?
And at this time?
No, okay. John?
Just thank you for taking on the responsibility and
Yes.
being willing to step in there. You're going to do a fantastic job. I mean, this town is incredibly lucky to have you. You and your wife do so much for this town, and just thank you.
I echo those sentiments. It's not an easy position, and grateful that you're willing to take on that position, both of you.
And
Absolutely.
and also Devin, you and Judd. I mean, like, come on, like. If 5 or 10 families in this town go on a ski trip together, like, we got to take out extra insurance. There's some really dedicated families around here.
Very good. Jeff?
I'd like to congratulate Randy and Devin for their new assignments. It's been a wild ride, and I would be remiss if I didn't thank John for all of his work over these past couple of years. Maybe hasn't been quite as exciting as some of the rides at the carnival, but it certainly has been a challenge, and certainly took it off probably a heck of a lot more time than he ever thought it was going to. So I certainly want to reach out and say thanks to John.
John, what are you going to do with all this free time now that you're not running this crazy board?
All right, so soccer.
There you go.
Yeah, soccer time.
No, I'm really excited for a new school year. I think the summer has gone amazingly fast, and it's hard to believe that school starts in a few weeks. And so I appreciate the updates on filling so many open positions. I mean, if you follow the news, there's a huge teacher shortage right now. So I'm just so impressed with, I think it's a testament to the leadership in our district, but also at the schools, to how much folks really want to work here. And I think we're really fortunate that we've been able to find teachers in a world where many people are leaving the profession, it's great that folks are coming here to work. So great work, team. And then just, want to say a huge thank you to Jeff and to John for, their leadership over the past couple of years. And Jeff, for so many years. And, I appreciate there's big shoes to fill. And so thank you both and especially over COVID. I don't know how much time it took, but I know how much time as a board member it took. And I can only imagine yours was like 100 times more. So good job.
Yes, thank you, John, for your leadership. I will lean on you for many things, technical and otherwise. I've got my Robert's rules that I'm going to read on the airplane next week. And thank you, Jeff, for many years of leadership and help. And I will lean on your support going forward. And Devin, thank you for being the secretary. I've got one quick comment / homework assignment. I've been thinking a lot about this and for 8 years, frankly. But I want everybody to just walk away and feel free to send me an email at some juncture between now and whenever in the near future, your top 2 or 3 goals for this board as it relates to, what we do every month and sometimes several times a month. And it can be really anything, from teachers to administration, to the students, to the buildings, I'm curious about what is on your minds, and I want to sort of lead us down that path, but really empower the leadership in the district that we've hired to do this. Just, give them direction and then say, go make it happen. Not looking for additional work for the administration. So I'll caveat it with that. One of my top goals is to reduce that because I think the burdens we place on the administration leads to their early demise around here. And I think we all have seen that. And we have an amazing team. We really have an amazing team. Arguably the best team in many years, certainly I've been on the board. So my first and foremost one is to make sure that we can keep them, do what we can as a board to keep them. So anyways, that's my 2 cents on that. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Yes.
Moved. Seconded. Yeah.
Yes. All right. We are adjourned at 8:20.